Here we are at Regenerative Nutrition Part 5. I hope you've made many discoveries and have had many inspirations along the way, and I look forward to your thoughts. In this last section we're going to cover a lot of material, so take your time. There's no hurry to go through it, but we're going to continue on our food journey and then move into herbs and supplements. There's even a short history lesson tucked away in here. First of all, I want to start with a simple concept. My spiritual teacher used to say that if you had a puddle of mud and you added a pound, you wouldn't notice. But if you had a pool of clear water, and even if you added a very small amount, it would be quite evident. Now he was relating to a pure heart and a sensitive conscience. And we can apply the same principle, though, to the subject of diet. When we clean up our diet, we become much more finely attuned to the effect of what we eat. Generally, it's helpful to be both resilient and aware. In other words, you want to be sensitive enough to notice some of the subtle effects of what you eat or drink. At the same time, you don't want to be oversensitive. It's good to be sensitively aware of the voice of our body's sensations generally. It's also good to be aware of our feelings, our emotions, and where they reside in our body. It's also good to be aware of the trend and tendencies of our mind. Today we're going to go further into food and move right along to herbs and supplementation. So let's talk about beans, also known as legumes. Along with grains, legumes offer wide-ranging nutrients, including good sources of protein, minerals, and fiber. Legumes have been shown to prevent diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. They are nourishing, delicious, and versatile from a culinary point of view. Like grains, they've been staples in all the agricultural civilizations. As you can see from the chart, there are many health values associated with beans. They prevent food cravings. They prevent metabolic syndrome. They prevent type 2 diabetes, protect against cancer, provide protein and energy, provide lots of vitamins and minerals, prevent obesity, protect against heart disease, and so there are lots of great values. Like wheat among the grains, soybeans are a special case among the legumes. They're terribly messy to cook, and I don't necessarily recommend it. Soy is by far best when it's gone through some transformations rather than being eaten simply as a cooked bean. The best way to enjoy soy is in the form of tofu, tempeh, edamame, which is the green bean, and miso, which is the fermented bean paste. There seems to be two major concerns with soy. One is that the vast majority of soy now is GMO. Definitely you want to choose organic, non-GMO soy wherever possible. The second, which predates this issue, is that they are rich in phytoestrogens in the form of isoflavones, and therefore their health value is a matter of ongoing controversy with very strong positive and negative opinions. However, opinions notwithstanding, according to my research, the science and historic usage of soy shows that soy is healthful and safe for adults and children, though there are caveats that we'll discuss in a moment. Soy is very weakly estrogenic, taking up bond sites for estrogen, but with much less estrogen potency than human estrogen, which is 1,000 times stronger. In other words, all of the negative hype about soy is mostly misplaced, as you'd have to eat a lot to experience estrogenic effects. There is lots of research evidence of soy reducing cancer in Asia. There is also evidence for the value of soy for lowering blood pressure and generally supporting better cardiovascular health. Soy isoflavone also supports connective tissue integrity, as we learned in an earlier chapter. Soy should be used moderately by those with thyroid conditions on medication, as it may interfere with medication absorption. The main thing is to allow a few hours between dosing with thyroid hormone or Synthroid and eating soy. Overall, the balance of science supports soy as a valuable food, one that probably, though, shouldn't be eaten on a daily basis. It's also probably true that vegetarians should not rely too heavily on soy as a primary protein source. Every 2 or 3 days is great. Also, it's been suggested that boys should be fed soy rather modestly, as there are so many estrogens in the environment as it is. Tofu pictured here in several forms, is all too often the butt of jokes. In fact, it's an extraordinarily versatile and incredibly enjoyable food. It will become whatever you want it to become. There are many textures and varieties and many ways of preparing tofu. Tempeh is an Indonesian soy food, very, very different from tofu. Whereas tofu is made from soy milk, and therefore essentially soy milk cheese, tempeh is made by inoculating split soybeans with a culture that, through a natural fermentation process, turns the beans into a solid cake. It has more protein, fiber, and overall nutrition as compared to tofu. It also has a more substantial flavor and texture. Tempeh can usually be found in the frozen food section of your natural food store and is typically marinated and grilled or barbecued. Now back to beans generally. Beans are perfectly digestible when properly prepared, and again they're a fountain of nutrition. Many beans can also be sprouted for increased nutritional value and easy digestion. I wanted to specifically also mention lentils, of which the major types are red and green. Lentils make terrific soups and stews and can be the foundation of burgers and many side dishes. Green lentils make good sprouts. The green lentils are best soaked overnight and make hearty soups and stews as well as burgers. They are natural fall and winter food. The small red lentils cook quickly and make delicious and hearty soups and curries. They are light and a natural food for the spring and summer. We haven't discussed eating for the season, so that we'll have to save for a future presentation. Let's talk a little bit about a class of substances called anti-nutrients that interfere with nutrient absorption and can affect digestion. Kidney bean family has one issue of concern. In their raw form, they're relatively rich in a type of protein known as lectins. Lectins are a group of proteins that play a role in nature as a kind of natural pesticide. They cause digestive ailments in animals or insects that overconsume them. Lectins are pretty well found in all plants to some extent, and particularly in the kidney bean family, soybeans, and many grains. In fact, lectins are widespread in nature. Lectins have a variety of functions, some of which may be beneficial, but generally they're considered undesirable as they can be pro-inflammatory and damaging to the gastrointestinal tract when not properly reduced in the food that you're eating. The solution, though, is relatively simple. In the case of beans, they should be soaked overnight and the rinsed water discarded and the beans cooked thoroughly. One of my pet peeves is ordering a bean dish at a restaurant and finding that the beans are undercooked. In any case, the soaking and cooking almost entirely eliminates lectins. In terms of grains, simply cooking, fermenting, or sprouting will reduce the lectins significantly. The same is true of phytic acid in grains, beans, nuts, and seeds. Nuts, grains, beans all contain phytic acid. In varying degrees, they also contain phytase, an enzyme that dissolves phytic acid under certain circumstances. Lectins and phytates have a downside and an upside. Phytates interfere with mineral absorption, yet they also seem to have benefits such as maintaining healthy blood sugar through slowing down carbohydrate absorption, aiding overall cardiovascular health through lowering cholesterol and triglyceride levels, and decreasing inflammation. However, all in all, you want to get rid of the majority of these anti-nutrients. Like lectins, phytates are substantially reduced by soaking, sprouting, and fermenting, which works by increasing the phytase enzymes in the grain that will break down the phytic acid. Cooking also significantly reduces phytates. You can actually accelerate phytate breakdown by adding yogurt, apple cider vinegar, or lemon juice to the soak water. This should reduce phytase by at least half. For soaking, use lukewarm water. So grains including millet and quinoa and beans are generally better off soaked before use, though this really wouldn't work with buckwheat as it would turn to mush. Soaking is also good for nuts and seeds. Pumpkin seeds, for instance, are quite high in phytates, which might make their valuable minerals such as zinc harder to absorb And zinc content is one of the reasons people eat pumpkin seeds. Soaking or mildly sprouting them, followed by pan or oven drying them at low heat, will make them much more digestible. There are tremendous health values in foods that exist outside of the vitamin, mineral, protein, fat bandwidth of basic nutrients. We live in a world of color, and remarkably enough, the pigments in the food we eat have profound and wide-ranging health benefits. Anthocyanins are the red, purple, and blue pigments that are particularly rich in berry and fruit species. Carotenoids, the deep yellow to orange pigments of mangoes and carrots. Chlorophylls are the green pigments. As you know, we should eat widely from the rainbow of fruits and vegetables, but unfortunately, many people eat only a very narrow range of plant foods. Just to see a photo like this inspires our appetite and our imagination. Statistically, only 8% of the population eat enough fruits and vegetables. And hey, French fries and pizzas don't count. Though a few years ago, the US government recognized pizza as a vegetable for the purpose of school lunch program planning. One of the reasons that plant foods are important is that they contain a wide array of phytochemicals. The term phytochemicals refers to plant-derived, non-essential nutrients that are non-toxic and offer a remarkable range of profound health values. The term nutraceuticals is essentially synonymous, except that it's not limited to plant-based chemicals, but can also refer to factors from non-plant sources. So phytochemicals technically are a subset of nutraceuticals. There are many classes of phytochemicals and quite a few different substances within those subclasses. The reason it is important to mention this is to alert you again to the importance of eating a diet that is broad in order to capture the many values offered by an array of plant foods and their nutrients. There are over 1,000 identified phytochemicals. The polyphenols particularly are the most abundant antioxidants in the diet and have been of particular interest for their role in the prevention of cardiovascular disease, cancer, and osteoporosis and other chronic health conditions. I just wanted to mention a few plant-based, non-essential nutrients that are phytochemical factors often used as supplements. L-theanine, for instance, which is derived from tea, has a calming effect on the nervous system and is used for anti-anxiety benefits. It's probably one of the reasons that people don't really find tea stimulating, because the L-theanine has a balancing effect from the caffeine in tea. Indole 3-carbinol detoxifies estrogen and has been used successfully for decreasing PMS and happier menstrual periods. It's also used for cancer prevention. Flavonoids are a broad class of plant-based factors, mostly found in the pigments of fruits and veggies with very potent, wide-ranging benefits. Allicin comes from garlic and is a major source of garlic's medicinal reputation. OPC'S, short for oligomeric proanthocyanidins, are found richly in grapeseed and have diverse anti-aging benefits. In fact, we hear a lot in the last 10 years about resveratrol, which is also found in grapes and a number of other foods. But the reality is that despite the extremely enthusiastic promotion of this molecule for a number of years now, it is not so far held up all that well to research on human beings. On the other hand, there is remarkable research-based evidence that does support the wide-ranging benefits of grapeseed proanthocyanidins. OPC'S strengthen collagen and elastin, as well as protecting the skin from sun damage. They also strengthen the arterial walls, and research has supported their value in reducing symptoms of varicose veins. They are neuroprotective and may improve memory and support better brain health. The research literature on OPC'S is quite impressive. In one study, grapeseed PROANTHOCYANIDIN extract was effective in improving the physical and psychological symptoms of menopause while increasing muscle mass and reducing blood pressure in middle-aged women. So this is one powerful group of substances that offers good reason to consider supplementation with grapeseed extract, not to mention enjoying delicious organic grapes. Grapes are a fantastic healing food with an array of beneficial phytochemicals in the skin and the seed, and even in the flesh of the grape. Curcumin is one phytochemical that's very commonly used in cooking, particularly Indian cuisine, in the form of the golden yellow spice turmeric. Turmeric is an ancient healing root from the ginger family, a virtual medicine chest with a tremendous amount of modern research support around its health benefits. Curcumin is the phytochemical most responsible for its value, though there's a strong case to be used for the use of the whole spice. It's often found that when we use the whole plant food, that there's an array of cofactors that all participate in bringing to you the medicinal benefits. Now, turmeric and curcumin absorption is much more effective when combined with black pepper, which can literally raise the absorption by 1,000%. Turmeric is a very potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant with benefits to the liver, to the brain and nervous system, and to our metabolic balance, which is to say blood sugar and lipid metabolism. In India, where turmeric is used daily, the rate of Alzheimer's disease among the elderly population is among the lowest in the world, and there's a lot of indication that this is due to the daily use of turmeric. Cocoa, the Aztec drink of the gods, according to the American Heart Association, has shown beneficial effects on blood pressure, insulin resistance, and vascular and platelet function. Now, when we talk about natural cocoa, we're not talking about chocolate. The effects ascribed to cocoa may not be quite applicable due to the heat processing of sugar with cocoa liquor, which is the oily, chocolatey, fine grind of the bean. The powder shown here has most of the oil removed. The oil is a significant part of chocolate making. In the meantime, cocoa is rich in antioxidants and minerals, and particularly rich in magnesium. Chocolate is a great example of a plant substance that adds richness in our lives from the point of view of health and pleasure. On the other hand, it's also an example of a substance that can be a stealth source of health concern when it's loaded with sugar and fat, so choose wisely. These specialized foods are rich sources of minerals, carotenoids, chlorophyll, and other antioxidant pigments. They have hormone balancing, lipid lowering, and antioxidant benefits. In the case of both the grasses and sprouts, they are vastly rich in nutrient elements as compared to the mature plant. Broccoli sprouts, for instance, are rich in sulforaphane, which can rid the body of environmental toxins and has powerful cancer protective benefits. The grain grasses, when juiced, are exceptionally rich in chlorophyll and nutrients. They're deeply nourishing and detoxifying, stimulate wound healing and overall immunity. They're highly antioxidant and generally protective. There's something about the rich green color that seems to brighten up everything. Green is life. You probably wouldn't want it on the walls of your house, but as a food it enlivens the mind and the body. The algae, such as spirulina, similarly are also richly endowed with phytochemicals and nutrients that can make them very concentrated sources of specialized nutrition. Algae, like spirulina, are single-celled plant organisms that basically lie in the sun and transform that solar energy into powerhouses of nutrition. The seaweeds are also great sources of minerals and carotenoids with their antioxidant benefits. They also add flavor and nutritional value to soups and salads. They've always been very, very popular in parts of Asia, such as particularly Japan, and they're very easily available in your local natural food store. There's some great products out there with mixtures of all of these, more or less. I recommend using foods of this nature on a regular, daily basis, whether fresh or dehydrated or in a dried mixture form. I'm a huge fan of berries and regard them as an energy food. They're not only pleasing to the eye, but provide an array of valuable nutritional factors with health and anti-aging benefits. They are powerfully antioxidant, neuroprotective, help learning and memory, enhance overall immune function. They provide antioxidant, anti-cancer, anti-blood clotting, anti-inflammatory, anti-atherosclerotic values. In animal research, it's been found that aging rats fed blueberry concentrates, for instance, functioned like young rats again, swimming that moat like a champ, definitely negotiating that maze. What are the berries in your local area that you enjoy? Here in the Pacific Northwest, we have many different species of berries. On any given evening at the very beginning of summer and well into August, you're likely to find me riding my bike in our neighborhood with periodic pit stops in my favorite berry patches. And where there's one variety, there are very often others as well, and I'm able to gather 8 to 10 wild species for the course of the summer. That supplements the strawberries and blueberries that are grown abundantly in our area and that I purchase or gather and freeze. I would be remiss in a conversation about regenerative nutrition if I didn't say a word about juicing. One of the gajillion wonders of modern technology is the blender, and another is the juicer. While the very best juicers are expensive hydraulic presses such as the Norwalk, there are a number of high-quality centrifugal juicers on the market. Juicing provides delicious nutrient density. Juices are great for general health, great for cleansing, also great for those seeking to lose weight. My one caution with those who are following a program of prolonged juice fasting for weight loss is that you're going to lose a significant amount of muscle mass. So you'll want to avoid that by incorporating protein supplements, which we'll be discussing further on. But if you don't do that, you're going to lose too much muscle mass. That's undesirable. So the rule for drinking juice is this: drink slowly to maintain healthy blood sugar and swirl in your mouth for best digestion. Let's take a look at a list of the common culinary herbs and spices. Herbs and spices contain an enormous variety of phytochemicals with a range of health values, and these include blood sugar and lipid balance, cancer prevention, antioxidant value, detoxification, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, immune stimulating, aiding digestion and assimilation of food nutrients, blood pressure health, liver health, cognitive function, that's brain function, mental clarity and focus, and neuroprotection. The best book on the subject, which you can get for free online, is Medicinal Seasonings by Dr. Keith Scott, which you can read for free at scribd.com. That's SCRIBD.com. Herbs and spices add flavor and health benefits to our lives, so use them liberally, but preferably organically sourced. So we've looked at plant foods, we've looked at some of the phytochemical factors with which plant foods are richly endowed, and now let's look at specialized plant medicines. What is a herbal or botanical medicine? These are edible, non-poisonous plants that in most cases are not used as foods, but primarily for their medicinal value. The public may not realize the extent of research on medicinal plants. Simply put, there is a ton of research being done globally on traditional plant medicines, and it's very easy to track a significant proportion of it online through medical research database sites, of which PubMed, PubMed.org is the premier site. The fact is that we have a pretty good idea of the active factors of hundreds of different medicinal plants, right down to their impact on human genes and human proteins. When I'm reading about a given herb, I always confirm general discussion of the plant that I might be studying with a review of the research-based sources. When I was very young and looking at natural medicine, I wasn't knocked out by herbal medicine, with which I did have some very interesting interactions. I tried to understand, but it was all empirical. Medicinal indications passed down for hundreds and in some cases thousands of years, and yet basically generally the same whether you read a book 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago or 100 years ago or 50 years ago. It was undeveloped over long spans of time. For instance, there were lots of liver herbs, but what was the basis of giving one over another? It was all tradition and supposition. I could appreciate the romanticism of plant medicine, but I wanted more specificity and the ability to differentiate one herb from the other. There was very little research 40 years ago, and what little research there was required a lot of work to track down. The internet has changed all that, of course. If I was really interested, I might have done that trek to the university library, but when I discovered homeopathy, I felt that I'd really come across the detailed indications for any given herbal medicine based on specific trials on people, known as provings and verified in clinical practice. With the homeopathic indications, it was possible to finally differentiate one herbal substance from another, along with all the other homeopathic remedies that come from the mineral or animal kingdom. These experiences led to the production of massive volumes in homeopathy of detailed remedy indications, filled with both physical and psychological symptoms. In fact, by the early 1800s, specific homeopathic remedies, along with physical information, became identified with specific psychological tendencies and patterns, indications that have become far more developed and refined over time. Here we have two of the great American homeopaths of the 19th century, the 1800s, and compilers of homeopathic remedy information. James Tyler Kent, who died in about 1918, and on the upper right, Constantine Herring, whose period of time was the early 1800s, mid-1800s. In the 1800s, there was a tremendous cross-fertilization between American homeopathy and American professional herbalism, known as the eclectic school of medicine, a profession largely based on traditional North American native herbology. Edwin Hale was a homeopath who brought many of the eclectic herbs into homeopathic development. On the other side, the eclectics incorporated many of the specific indications from homeopathic remedies, including the homeopathic doctrine of the use of single remedies. John Scudder was perhaps the most notable among these. So I just thought it'd be fun to go on a little history ride, the main point being that both homeopathy and herbalism interplayed intensively in the United States in the 19th century. Incidentally, the eclectic school eventually combined with European herbal and nature cure practitioners and eventually morphed into the naturopathic profession we know today. In the meantime, modern research has tremendously expanded our ability to understand the values of traditional herbal remedies with a lot greater specificity. So we're just going to take a taste of the world of medicinal plants. In the fall of 2013, a report came out that researchers from the University of Guelph, Ontario, tested 44 herbal products from 12 companies, all of which are available to consumers in Canada and the United States. They found that the majority of the products, 60%, contained ingredients not listed on the label. Moreover, most companies substitute high-quality herbal ingredients for cheaper ingredients, contaminants, and fillers. In Canada, herbal and nutritional products were recently regulated in a way that theoretically ensures that what you're getting, whether it's domestic or imported, is what you're supposed to be getting according to the label. In the US, which is really the Wild West of natural products, where industry and supportive politicians have stubbornly resisted any attempts at regulation, it's not at all uncommon to find poor quality products. Furthermore, adulteration and contamination of herbal medicinal products with an array of contaminants including heavy metals, pharmaceutical drugs, high levels of pesticides, etc. have been commonly noted for imported traditional Chinese medicines and Indian Ayurvedic herbs. I suspect that the biggest problem with North American producers are coming from those who purchase herbal raw materials simply for repackaging and don't demand or apply quality controls. Only advanced analytical testing can ensure that what you're getting is true, pure, and standardized for potency of the major medicinal factors. So when you're purchasing herbal products, it's important to find companies that are specialized in growing many of their ingredients and doing proper HPLC analysis to be sure that what you're getting is as close to certain as possible. WHO guidelines are there, in other words, the World Health Organization, and there are companies that are very passionate about herbs and very passionate about quality. There are plenty of others that are just along for the ride and do nothing more than encapsulation. Companies that do it right in the herbal medicine arena are special. For starters, I'd like to focus on a class of herbs called adaptogens. The reason is that adaptogens have the widest utility in terms of general benefits that most everyone can appreciate and from which everyone is going to take advantage. Adaptogens are not necessarily strong immune boosters, though they will have immune enhancing effects. They are more like metabolic regulators, enhancing energy production, preventing damage, correcting errors, filling in gaps. Adaptogenic herbs have a generally normalizing effect on the body, including immune function, cellular metabolism, hormone balance, and adrenal function. They help the body adapt to changing circumstances in the emotional or physical environment, such as excessive stress or change of seasons. Simply put, if you're a little over here, they bring you back. If you're a little over there, they bring you back to center. Adaptogens do help enhance immunity. They fight the effects of stress and also support better overall metabolic energy, which often translates as a better feeling of well-being. Adaptogens have been likened to a thermostat that regulates the temperature of a room. They dial down the body's response to stress, but dial up the body's stamina and endurance. Well-designed adaptogenic formulas are impactful in a way that many people can really notice the lift in their health, not just a subtle background effect. Let's do a brief introduction to the majors to give you the general idea and excite your interest. We're going to concentrate at first on ginseng, as describing its benefits is more or less to catalog the effects of adaptogens generally. Ginseng has an array of bioactive compounds and a very large literature of scientific research supporting its wide-ranging benefits. In fact, there's so much literature on ginseng that there are journals that come out monthly dedicated to the research. Research has shown that Panax ginseng increases endurance and vitality by improving overall cellular energy metabolism. At the same time, ginseng protects the mitochondria, the energy engine of the cell, in several different ways, supporting cellular stability. Ginseng also increases mitochondrial growth and development in muscle cells, which is very important for overall energy and best health, while protecting the muscle from the damaging effects of exercise. Ginseng has been shown to decrease the rate of DNA damage and has been shown to have significant anti-cancer effects. Ginseng has anti-diabetic effects and protects the pancreas from high sugar levels. It also protects the liver from various toxins. There are also benefits for learning and memory and cognitive performance and during periods of prolonged mental activity. It is also antiviral and supports various immune factors. Wow, so many benefits. I'd just like to briefly mention the differentiation between American and Asian ginseng. While both are rich in ginsenosides, from a purely experiential point of view, and the Asian ginseng is regarded as more medicinal, as the type of ginsenoside alkaloids in the Asian version are active in larger quantities. There is good research value on the American ginseng, and I have no hesitation in supporting its use for type 2 diabetics to help control blood sugar and overall immune support. Now, some people can be sensitive to adaptogens, and there are those for whom the metabolic boost can be quite stimulating, leading to restlessness and possibly even raising blood pressure. Again, this is all about the unique individual, and what is valuable for many is not going to be great for some. So you simply have to pay attention to the effect that you experience yourself. But many people are going to notice an improvement in their overall vitality. So let's look at Eleutherococcus, commonly known as Siberian ginseng. It's found in the same general plant family as Panax ginseng, but has a very different chemistry, though it has in milder form more or less all of the similar features that we relate to adaptogens. Siberian ginseng is not really an accurate term, but it's easier to say than Eleutherococcus centococcus. Like Panna's ginseng, there is a long tradition used in Chinese medicine. I don't regard it as a primary medicine, but more of a supportive player for a good adaptogenic formula. Rhodiola has been popularized in the West due to its stamina-boosting benefits. It has been fairly intensively studied and has been found to contain over 140 phytochemicals. I use products with rhodiola or create formulas with rhodiola when the patient needs energy support, greater mental clarity, and better physical resilience to stress or athletic stamina. Rhodiola is native to cold weather and mountain environments in various parts of the world. It's incredibly good for also emotional balance. It seems to have antidepressant benefits. It's a mild monoamine oxidase inhibitor supporting healthier serotonin levels. The Crenulata species appears to have many of the same benefits but has much less research support. Ashwagandha is a popular Ayurvedic herb, the medical system native to India. It's sometimes called Indian ginseng, and many of the same benefits are ascribed to it. It has stress resistance and diabetic characteristics that are common to the adaptogens. A list of the research-based potential benefits is very similar among the plants of the adaptogen family, with antioxidant, metabolic, cardiovascular, and neuroprotective benefits. So this was just a brief introduction to several of the common adaptogens. Oh, I forgot. Ashwagandha is also very useful in formulas to support thyroid health. I want to mention maca, as maca has become very popular and can be considered a kind of hormonal adaptogen, meaning it has a tendency to correct hormonal imbalances. There are different colors of maca, mainly 3 different colors that have somewhat different values, but in general, maca has a balancing effect on the androgens, the sex hormones, and should be helpful for fertility, a mild aid to sexual energy, and for overall physical vitality and stamina. Edible mushrooms and fungi really transit that zone between food and medicine. Edible mushrooms are delicious additions to so many meals, and at the same time, they're a remarkable source of important health benefits. While strengthening immune function is one of the major factors, cross-species values, many different mushrooms support healthier immunity. Each species seems to have its own special values, and we're going to look at a few of these. But a word of warning, stick to the mushrooms you can purchase locally. Even the button mushrooms you purchase at the supermarket have tremendous immune supporting value. Don't start becoming a wild crafter without guidance. I personally had a modest mushroom poisoning experience in my late teens by eating allegedly edible mushrooms from an overenthusiastic amateur friend. There are over 140,000 species of fungi. Choose those that are readily available from reliable sources. Now this is sort of a funny place to start, as reishi is technically a polypore or a tree conch. They are a type of fungi that are not soft and fleshy but rather hard and woody. Various species of Ganoderma have been used in Chinese medicine for thousands of years, where it's regarded as a bearer of great health and longevity. Reishi has been the subject of a great deal of scientific research. It's shown to have unique depth of therapeutic benefits. Reishi, as with some of the other mushroom species, has a significant number of bioactive compounds. It's also very rich in beta-glucans, which we discussed earlier. Reishi has benefits in fighting cancer, dramatically enhancing overall immunity. It's been shown to have antiviral and antibacterial benefits. It also inhibits the clumping of platelets. It lowers blood pressure, as well as balancing blood lipids and blood glucose. The Chinese make a winter soup with reishi, as well as other mushrooms and fungus species, including shiitake, as well as other roots. They also usually add red dates, which is widely used throughout Asia and an important general tonic and immune enhancer in Chinese medicine. Just for the record, it's not really a date as such. LINGZHI soup, it's called, can be made from both vegetarian and non-vegetarian stock, and it's one of my favorite items at vegetarian Chinese restaurants. We discussed shiitake mushrooms when we were reviewing beta-glucans, as I mentioned. They're readily available nowadays in very tasty and healthful addition to many vegetable dishes, though they should be cooked completely, as otherwise they can produce allergies for some people. Shiitakes also increase resistance to infection and have anti-cancer benefits. A derivative of shiitake called AHCC is very popular as an adjunctive cancer medicine. There are various species of cordyceps, but the sinensis species is the most commonly used. Its natural habitat is above the 14,000 foot level in the Himalayas, where it grows out of the larvae of a particular species of caterpillar, as you can see in the photo. It's now grown in organic rice grain medium in the US and China. As you can see from the chart, it has a wide variety of research-supported benefits on all the major organ systems. Primarily its value is that it increases cellular energy by enhancing the oxygen absorption of the cell. Natural cordyceps is expensive and often adulterated. Cultivated cordyceps have been designed to enhance the bioactive principles. It's easy to obtain, it's quite inexpensive for what it offers in health benefits. Well, that's enough about mushrooms for now, but I hope I've whet your appetite. We didn't discuss lion's mane mushroom, which aids nerve growth and cognitive function, or ABM mushroom, another immune booster, an anti-cancer helper, or chaga, a black birch tree fungus that's currently all the rage for its remarkable immune-enhancing benefits, but you get the idea. Now, aloe vera is truly one of the greatest medicinal plants and contains a vast array of nutrients and bioactive phytochemicals. Both internally and externally, aloe has sometimes been called the most medicinal plant in the world, and is probably one of the most practical house plants for all kinds of topical applications. Aloe vera likes the sun, so if you keep the plant, do put it in a sunny window location, where it will usually thrive. For medicinal purposes, the whole leaf is undesirable. Topically, aloe gel is well known for its usefulness in wound healing, yet has also been found to have a measure of value for sun and radiation damage, as well as other skin conditions such as anal fissures and psoriasis. Internally, it's been shown to have value in inflammatory and ulcerative conditions of the gastrointestinal tract. Now, aloe benefits glucose and lipid metabolism and offers various immune and anti-inflammatory benefits. Clinically, I've seen quite remarkable benefits from orally ingested aloe in teenage acne. It also enhances collagen and elastin synthesis by stimulating a type of cell called fibroblasts that produce collagen and elastin. Aloe quality is of utmost importance, as the polysaccharides that are central to aloe vera's value are easily damaged. Highest quality products are stabilized for the polysaccharide content. The aloe rind is to be avoided as it's rich in aloin, which can be toxic. Of course, there's hundreds of medicinal herbs. One of the great wonders of our age is that we have the opportunity to learn about plant medicines from every corner of the world, providing a vast pharmacy and endless opportunities for research to turn folklore to science, as it's been occurring with ever greater intensity over the last 30 years. It's only in this way that we can rise above the guesswork and tradition and be able to complement the values of empirical experience with the detailed clarifications that research can offer. A few companies and universities are even doing full-scale genomics and proteomics. A very few that are testing plant extracts to see precisely what genes are upregulated and downregulated, as well as the effects on proteins, which are far more numerous than genes. This combining of traditional usage with modern science allows for a greater degree of specificity in terms of using medicinal plants and dramatically enhances both prevention and treatment options. So what plants you would use and when depends in part on your health goals. Certain plants that support overall metabolic efficiency, such as the adaptogens, can be used periodically or regularly by adults to help reduce stress and increase functional metabolism. Plants that enhance our immune defenses are also valuable at certain times of the year or under certain circumstances. Other herbs are fantastic aids to digestion, or liver health, or blood sugar, etc. As we age, the value of supplemental botanical medicines increases, and I believe that they can make a significant contribution to enjoying best health at every age. So we've done a general overview of plant-based foods and medicinal plants. Let's talk about supplementation. I've separated supplements into 3 groups. There are supplements for repletion, to ensure that the basic necessary levels of core nutrients for health maintenance are supplied. This is what most people think of when they consider taking vitamins, simply to ensure that they're getting their minimum requirements. Then there is supplementation for optimization, wherein you use higher dosages of core nutrients, specialized supplements, and botanicals in order to optimize some aspect of your functional health. By the way, botanicals, when not applied for a specific condition, can definitely be used as supplements for general health benefits. This is really the cutting edge of modern nutritional prescribing. There are some outstanding products out there that can really make a profound difference in your health and your wellness. Then there is therapeutic supplementation, where higher dosages of specific nutrients or botanicals are used for attaining particular therapeutic benefits. All of these are valid approaches to supplementation. You know, there's been a lot of controversy regarding vitamin supplementation, and various studies, invariably trumpeted in the media, proclaim that supplements are worthless. This despite the fact that there are hundreds and hundreds of studies that support the value of supplementation. It's worth knowing that the vast majority of people in the United States do not meet all of the guidelines for dietary intake of vitamins and minerals. More than 93% of adults in the U.S. do not get the estimated average requirements of vitamin D and E from their diet. 61% not enough magnesium, and 50% not enough vitamin A and calcium. You can be sure that's not the end of it, but those are just some of the majors. Many subpopulations have even more critical needs for micronutrients, including older adults, African Americans, obese persons, and some people who are ill or injured. Concerns about increased mortality from supplementation with vitamin A and E have been based on extremely high use through supplements far beyond the amount available in a multivitamin, and in the case of vitamin E, largely refuted by comprehensive meta-analysis, which are reviews of a large number of studies. Balls Frey, who's a biochemist and professor and the director of the Linus Pauling Institute, he writes this: "It's naive to ignore the fact that most people have micronutrient inadequacies, and wrong to condemn a daily supplement that could cover these nutritional gaps safely and at low cost. There's strong evidence that a multivitamin mineral supplement supports normal functioning of the body and helps improve overall health and may even help lower chronic disease risk. It's irresponsible to ignore decades of nutritional research and tell the people of the United States that they have no need for a supplement that could be so helpful and cost as little as a few dollars a month. And if they have a poor diet, people should try to improve that as well." Now, the two are not mutually exclusive, so there is really no reason to be confused, and it's very important to take studies that are trumpeted in the media with a grain of salt. I'm telling you that in every case, when I've looked behind the mirror, or behind the glass mirror, behind the curtain is really what I mean to say, that I've always found that there was much more going on, and it's very important to take media with a grain of salt. Please. So almost everyone can benefit from quality supplementation, and I do emphasize quality as there are different types of supplements, and some are of much lower quality and bioavailability as compared to others. Now let's do a review of the basic macronutrients. Whether it's raw food or macrobiotic or Paleolithic, etc., it's the macronutrients that get the lion's share of discussion as they represent our daily basic food intake. We need all three of the macronutrients and different body types, activity levels, times of the year, times of the day, and in different environments seem to lend themselves to different needs in this regard. We've already covered carbs in our discussion of grains, so let's talk about fats and proteins. Protein provides the building blocks for every tissue and cell, and there are thousands of different proteins, each with its own unique structure and function. Some only last long enough to perform a specific function before they degrade. Others can last for years. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein, and those that the body cannot manufacture are termed essential amino acids. Here are the basics of what you need to know. Quantity required has generally been overstated and can vary according to activity, genetics, environment, age, and general health. Meat is associated with a higher risk of diabetes, certain cancers, cardiovascular disease, and osteoporosis, and non-meat sources will provide adequate protein for most people. Under various circumstances, supplementation can be of immense value. There has been a lot of myth over the years about protein, that large amounts were required, that they had to be taken with the correct amino acid balance, that meat and dairy were the best way to get protein. All of these have been shown to be false. At the same time, protein is a necessity, and sometimes protein foods are hard to absorb due to health issues or age. Bone development is inhibited by too much protein in the diet. Add milk to that, and despite the propaganda, instead of going forward in bone development, you are going to go backward. The excessive protein of a meat dairy-based diet leads to bone loss, as bone requires calcium in its metabolic process. In other words, too much protein increases calcium loss. So despite the fact that dairy products have calcium, they also have protein. And when you add that to a diet based on meat, you lead to osteoporosis. Sometimes the need for proteins goes up, as with bodybuilders, athletes, very active exercise enthusiasts, and with certain health conditions. In these cases, protein powders can be very useful. Protein helps build lean muscle mass. It also supports repair functions. Protein tends to satisfy appetite and support weight loss. Certain proteins, like whey protein, contain factors that significantly boost immunity, have antibacterial function, and support our innate antioxidant systems. Different proteins will metabolize at different rates. A quality blend of whey and vegetable proteins free of sweeteners is a good choice, as these will release their proteins at different times, resulting in a prolonged feeling of satiety, another way of saying a depressed appetite, which is useful for weight loss and prolonged physical exertion. This is also potentially useful for those on an otherwise low-protein vegetarian diet. A combination of whey and whey protein isolate tends to be better priced as compared to the isolate alone. Of the plant-based proteins, rice protein is likely the most digestible and the best taste. Pea protein would be next. Hemp protein is not very tasty. Soy protein is probably the hardest to digest and may not be as desirable unless it is non-GMO organic. Soy may be best in a combination product or also combined with digestive enzymes. The arena of fats and oils is just a huge subject, though we'll keep this discussion fairly simple. There's still much to be learned in the fatty acid arena, and the last 25 years have seen a tremendous surge in research, with new findings coming out regularly, old saws being debunked, and it's a very important thing to understand. And the main thing is that fatty acids are fundamental to an array of key functions in the body. Fatty acids are a source of energy, particularly stored energy. They're part of the structure of the membrane of the cells and cellular components. They're critical to the movement of impulses throughout our nervous system. They're basic components of hormones and several of the fundamental signaling and messenger systems in the body that influence hormones, inflammation, and aspects of cardiovascular, smooth muscle, and immune function. However, if you're eating a high-quality plant-based diet, oil of all types ought to be rather modest in the diet. I do accept the evidence, though, that suggests that everyone will want to increase sources of omega-3 and decrease sources of omega-6, which are overly plentiful in the standard American diet. The ideal ratios in the vicinity of 4 omega-6 to 1 omega-3, or all the way to 2 to 1. Omega-6 to omega-3, whereas the standard American diet is estimated to be around 20 to 1. This means much more inflammation, fatty liver, and cardiovascular damage. For meat eaters, grass-fed beef is dramatically better in the omega-3-6 ratio than non-grass-fed. Vegetables, whole grains, legumes, some nuts and seeds, if you choose, a small amount of dairy products will provide the vast coverage of the fatty acids that you need in your diet. Fish oil supplements, or alternatively algae-based EPA, DHA supplements are very well supported scientifically. DHA is 40% of the polyunsaturates in the brain. However, there is plenty of evidence that alpha-linolenic acid, ready available omega-3 from walnuts, chia, and flax, which converts poorly to EPA and DHA, has numerous health benefits itself and may convert more efficiently in vegetarians. In other words, vegetarians may adapt to converting the linolenic acid to EPA and DHA more efficiently. There is an argument for supplementation, especially with age, though there doesn't appear to be any indication of a deficiency in vegetarians. Basically, the question of supplementation of omega-3, which is the linolenic acid, for vegetarians is unanswered, but still likely of value. Now, I do also want to emphasize the importance for brain health in children of omega-3 fatty acids, and in particular conditions like ADHD or autism, etc. No greater rates of Alzheimer's or cognitive decline, though, has been found when reviewing vegetarian diets, so it's clear that even without supplementation, vegetarians are getting enough. All in all, this can be important for cardiovascular and brain health, particularly recommended in pregnancy. Now, if you're using a moderate amount of extra virgin olive oil for your dressings, this is great. If you're stir-frying with a little coconut oil or a little butter, you're doing fine. Margarine, even a little coconut oil. But margarine, processed commercial vegetable oils, and hydrogenated oils like Crisco are out. Your safflower, sunflower, corn, and peanut oil are very highly out of balance in terms of omega-6 and 3, and mostly are positively harmful when exposed to high heat. Canola has a good omega-3-6 balance, but is almost all GMO and is very highly processed. If you can find an organic, minimally processed canola oil, that's fine for your salads, but don't cook it. While we all love corn chips, potato chips, and the like, the fact is these should be an occasional snack only, as they are cooked in overheated polyunsaturates, which have been clearly shown to be damaging. Deep fried foods are also damaging, though this does depend somewhat on the type of oil and the overall diet. There is fairly good research evidence that quick frying and even deep frying with olive or coconut oil is not so harmful, especially in the context of a Mediterranean-style diet. These are the absolute basics and the bottom line regarding fats and oils. In my view, if you're eating an otherwise high-quality regenerative nutrition diet, you can get away with some guilty pleasures. However, if you've been following the standard American diet, not so much. We could get into a variety of specific topics in the fat zone, saturated versus unsaturated, medium chain triglycerides, CLAs, GLAs, etc. Of these, the medium chain triglycerides rich in coconut oil may be the most useful regeneratively and well supported scientifically, as they're rapidly metabolized, providing important cellular energy for athletes, exercise buffs, and those with compromised digestion. There are also very strong indications that they may be very useful in early Alzheimer's, by providing quick energy to the brain. Now, micronutrients are compounds such as vitamins and minerals that are required in much smaller quantities than macronutrients, but are integral to numerous biochemical processes. As mentioned, there's a reasonably high level of deficiency in the population of North America of one or another micronutrient due to the lack of food, lack in the food or in the soil in which the food is grown, or in narrow, highly processed diets, or in older age, in cases of malabsorption, illness, higher individual or circumstantial requirements, etc. Some people just find that supplementing their B vitamins or magnesium, for instance, that helps their overall energy or their calmness or their ability to get to sleep, etc. The main criterion here is to be sure that the supplement is of good quality and that you're taking the natural form and not an artificial analog. I actually believe that a lot of the problems that have shown up in scientific studies is because they're often using the artificial analog and not the natural form, and it has a very different effect in the body. Better to be taking the full range of tocopherols and tocotrienols rather than just vitamin E, or the range of carotenoids, not just beta-carotene. There's reason to believe that this is safer and more effective. One of the biggest, weirdest mistakes I've seen, though, is people taking 20 bottles or more of supplements. There's always a lot of duplication, which is concerning, not to mention an awful lot of fillers, binders, excipients, and even the potential of heavy metal contamination. Really, I don't see why one quality vitamin mineral supplement or several specific factors that are desirable wouldn't be enough for most people. Here are the most common mineral supplements, and there are many more minerals that the body utilizes in extremely minute quantities. Of course, calcium and iron are enormously common, and magnesium and zinc are becoming as widespread for good reason. Mineral supplements are the most prone to heavy metal contamination, and I would recommend purchasing them from top suppliers or through professionals. They can be used individually or in combinations for general health or specific therapeutic purposes. Selenium is commonly deficient in North American soil. We supplement horses with selenium very commonly, and yet humans go without all too often. When a mineral is not well absorbed, I found that this may be an indication for the homeopathic dilution of that same mineral, which seems to enhance the body's ability to absorb and utilize it. In the case of iron, I prefer the citrate form and try to steer women away from products with huge amounts of iron. The body can only absorb a couple of milligrams a day. The liquid iron supplement from Europe, very well known, is quite popular, not worth the money, and this has been indicated by research. I'm not naming names. On the other side, too much iron is definitely harmful. The amount taken should be modest, 25-30 milligrams, and paired with vitamin C for better absorption. I like to add my supplements to our morning smoothies, where it's blended with whatever foods are in there, and I'd like to think more efficiently metabolized. Okay, I'd like to speak now about a number of factors that are already a part of our natural chemistry, but when applied as supplements, they can play a significant role in supporting best health, and they all provide potentially significant anti-aging benefits. Along with their generally antioxidant and metabolic benefits, some of these factors have potential therapeutic value in an array of specific circumstances. Here I'm going to discuss 6 factors that can be particularly useful. None of these have known deficiency symptoms. These are factors used for optimization and therapeutic value. A number of these factors in one way or another play important roles in basic processes of energy creation in the mitochondria. Healthy mitochondria means efficient metabolism and healthy aging and healthy living. There are essays worth of material on each of the 6 factors I'm going to describe. Here, of course, I'm just going to offer a short outline of each of their benefits. Carnosine is a remarkable amino acid that's found in cells of our body that have long life, such as the brain, heart, and muscle, and has been shown to have potent protective cardiovascular and brain benefits, and even extending the life of laboratory animals. Perhaps its most important value is that it prevents glycation, the bonding of proteins and sugars, blocking the production of AGEs, those advanced glycation end products, therefore playing a very significant anti-aging role, because advanced glycation end products can lead to Alzheimer's disease, for instance, and atherosclerosis. There is evidence that L-carnosine can be a valuable factor in supporting language and behavior development in autism. There are various other research-based benefits, and this can be an important part of protecting against the damaging effects of chemotherapy. I consider it a central part of any anti-aging supplementation program. However, carnosine should be used in doses of 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams daily, because in lower doses, when taken as a supplement, is degraded by the carnosine-specific enzyme too rapidly to be of value. N-acetylcysteine is a precursor of glutathione, the body's major antioxidant. Supplemental NAC helps replenish glutathione in the cells. NAC also improves insulin sensitivity, can prevent influenza, and can be of critical value in chronic respiratory conditions, and prevents the growth of Helicobacter bacteria in the stomach. It seems to soothe the lining of the lungs. Supplementation should be discussed with your naturopath. 600 to 1,000 milligrams would be the standard dosage. Acetyl L-carnitine is the most bioavailable form of the amino acid carnitine. ALC helps the conversion of fat to fuel in the body and may have value in a surprisingly long list of conditions. I'm going to particularly mention brain health, where fat is the major component, and the capacity to burn fat as fuel can be critical to healthy brain function. In a nutshell, L-carnitine enhances metabolism, particularly for the heart and the brain, while at the same time offering protection from oxidative stress. The standard dosage is 500 to 2,000 milligrams daily. Now, alpha-lipoic acid has been fairly intensively studied due to its potent antioxidant powers, its ability to increase insulin sensitivity and support healthy metabolic function as a cofactor in the energy-creating process in the mitochondria. Alpha-lipoic acid actually protects mitochondria and prevents degradation of the mitochondria. Additionally, alpha-lipoic acid protects the lining of blood vessels and has anti-inflammatory and lipid-lowering capabilities. Alpha-lipoic acid increases or maintains levels of other antioxidants, including CoQ10, vitamin C, vitamin E, and glutathione, which often decline with age. It aids in the recycling of vitamin C and E, which increases the production of glutathione. That's actually how alpha-lipoic acid helps the mitochondria, by preventing the degradation of the antioxidants. Lipoic acid quenches peroxynitrite radicals, an especially dangerous type of free radical that plays a role in the development of atherosclerosis and lung disease, chronic inflammation, and neurological disorders. I should mention that N-acetylcysteine and alpha-lipoic acid also have heavy metal chelating benefits. They help get heavy metals out of the body. As a general, antioxidant dosages of 30 to 100 milligrams are used for alpha-lipoic acid. You don't need much. The R form is the only form that should be used. Higher dosages of 300 milligrams have been used therapeutically for diabetic neuropathy. Ornithine alpha-ketoglutarate. Little known outside the world of weightlifting. Alpha-ketoglutarate is one of the factors in Krebs citric acid cycle, the first stage of energy creation in the mitochondria. It's a rate-limiting step in the production of ATP, the body's primary energy molecule. What does this mean? As we age, alpha-ketoglutarate diminishes, therefore reducing the capacity to produce ATP. It is therefore a critical factor in maintaining the vitality of the energy-creating process in the mitochondria. Supplemental LKG can significantly increase ATP production, as well as muscle protein synthesis. It also decreases protein catabolism, that is to say, protein breakdown. OKG speeds wound healing and has been used extensively to enhance tissue repair in burn victims and other traumas where this is desirable. Among OKG's effects in the body is the ability at higher dosages to increase levels of some of the most important anabolic hormones. The term anabolic refers to growth and repair, while its opposite, catabolic, refers to the process of degradation of molecules into their energy-producing elements. Human growth hormone, insulin-like growth factor, and insulin are stimulated by higher dosages of OKG, and OKG can be utilized for general values at dosages ranging from 300 milligrams daily, while bodybuilders are going to typically use 5 to 20 grams a day. Coenzyme Q10 or its metabolite ubiquinol are widely prescribed by metabolic physicians and naturopaths. Ubiquinol is much more readily absorbed, producing higher blood levels of CoQ10 with significantly lower dosages, but of course it's much more expensive. There are indications that ubiquinol may be the superior form for middle age and beyond. CoQ10 is directly involved in mitochondrial function. Supplemental CoQ10 has been likened to a fuel additive that causes your body's energy system to burn more cleanly. Research has suggested that CoQ10 can play a valuable role in heart, muscle, and brain function. There are also indications that may be useful in helping the functioning of the lungs, in the prevention and treatment of several cancers, and in Parkinson's. There are also research indications for an important role for supplemental CoQ10 for migraine sufferers. Dosages of 50 to 100 milligrams are used for optimization, whereas dosages of 300 to 1200 milligrams have been used therapeutically. And with that, we've reached the end of our journey. But really, it's not an end at all. I hope for many it will be a new beginning, an opportunity to review many aspects of your life and commit to your overall improvement in the areas of diet and nutrition as a stepping stone to personal growth and awakening. This has been an enormous journey for me personally, as you can well imagine. From conception to execution was a long road that was particularly aided by my friend Jason McMillan, who was really responsible for the website, for the filming and the creation of the videos, as well as adding his artistic and design skill where required. So I want to offer my gratitude to Jason for his hard work and dedicated support in bringing this vision to fruition. It's my sincere hope that you've gained from what we've created, and we look forward to your thoughts. Thank you very much.